If you ever picked up a bag of pet food and felt overwhelmed halfway through the label, you're not alone. Protein percentages, fat numbers, long ingredient lists, scientific terms that feel important but not very practical. Most people don't struggle with labels because they don't care. They struggle because labels weren't designed to be intuitive. So today we're going to slow this all the way down. By the end of this video, you won't have a degree in nutrition, but you will feel far more confident reading pet food labels and understanding what actually matters. That's the goal. Here's the first thing to understand. A pet food label is not a recipe. It's not a feeding plan, and it's not written for your dog. It's a regulatory document. Its job to meet legal requirements, not to educate pet owners. Once you understand that, labels stop feeling misleading and start feeling interpretable. So instead of trying to understand everything, we're going to focus on 4 pillars: protein, fat, carbohydrates, minerals, and then I'll give you 5 red flags that should make you pause, not panic, just pause. Let's start with protein. On the label, protein appears as a percentage in the guaranteed analysis. Here's the key insight. Protein percentage tells you how much protein is present, not where it comes from, not how digestible it is, and not how appropriate it is for dogs. Protein can come from animal sources, meat, organs, eggs, and plant sources, such as legumes, grains, vegetables. Both count toward the total protein number. This is where confusion starts. A food can look high protein, while a large portion of the protein comes from plants. In a premium quality pet food, at least 50%, ideally more, of the protein should come from animal sources. This is called animal or meat protein inclusion. Plant proteins aren't automatically bad, they can support a balanced formula. But dogs are biologically adapted to rely primarily on animal protein. What numbers actually make sense? For adult dogs, you should be looking at roughly 22 to 30% protein as fed as a reasonable range for kibble. Higher isn't automatically better, by the way. For puppies, protein needs are higher, but balance matters more than extremes. This is where a lot of people get tripped up. Chasing the highest protein number often backfires, especially in growing dogs. Protein supports growth, but protein does not control how bones grow. Minerals do. This is one of the most important sections of the video, especially if you have a puppy. Calcium and phosphorus work together to guide bone development. It's not just about how much calcium is present. It's about the ratio. It's general safe ranges for puppies. Calcium to phosphorus ratio roughly 1.2 to 1 or 1.4 to 1. Puppies cannot regulate excess calcium well. Too much calcium during growth can disrupt their normal skeletal development, leading to abnormal bone formation, especially in medium and large breeds. For adult dogs, the acceptable range is wider. As adults regulate calcium more effectively, they are generally more forgiving. This is why mineral mistakes are far riskier in puppies than in adults. And this is why random supplementation is a bad idea. This is important. Adding calcium, bone meal, or mineral supplements just to be safe often does the opposite. Commercial diets are already formulated to meet mineral targets. Adding supplements breaks the calcium phosphorus balance, overrides natural regulation, and can create long-term skeletal muscle issues. More calcium does not mean stronger bones. Minerals work in tight biological ranges. Guessing is not a good idea. Fat is one of the most misunderstood nutrients on pet food labels. Fat is not a problem. It's a primary energy source for dogs. Fat supports brain development, hormone production, skin and coat health, calorie density. What matters is fat source and balance. For good fat sources include clearly named animal fat, chicken fat, beef fat, fish oil, salmon oil, sardine or anchovy oil. The red flags with fat include vague terms like animal fat with no species listed, heavy reliance on vegetable oils alone, extremely high fat paired with low quality protein. You should be looking for a typical range of 10 to 18% fat as fed. Puppies tolerate fat well, but balance still matters. Using fat to inflate calories without improving protein quality is a common formulation shortcut, so you should try to avoid these. Carbohydrates are rarely listed as a percentage. You infer them. Here's how. You take 100%, subtract protein, fat, moisture, and ash if it's listed. And what's left is mostly carbohydrate. Kibble needs carbs structurally, but dogs have no biological requirement for high carbohydrate intake. Problems arise when carbs dominate the formula, replace animal nutrition, come from cheap, heavily processed starches, Lower carb does not mean zero carb. It means appropriate reliance. Before we wrap up, here are 5 red flags to watch for. These are mentioned briefly here. Each will be explained in depth in future videos. Think of these as pause signal, not panic buttons. Number 1 is mystery meats. Animal proteins, meat byproduct, animal fat with no species listed. Clarity matters. Artificial colors. Dogs don't care what color their food is. These exist for human marketing, not canine health. Ingredient splitting. Breaking one ingredient into many forms to push it lower on the list. Representation matters. Excessive synthetic additives. Long vitamins and mineral lists often compensate for poor base ingredients. Supplements should support a formula, not prop it up. Fillers dominating early ingredients when bulk replaces biology. Patterns matter more than single ingredients. At this point, the next question is always, how much should I actually feed? That's where math helps. I've built a calorie calculator on my website at drghunaim.com to help you estimate intake based on your dog's size, age, and needs. And if you want to keep learning without information overload, my newsletter is where I break this down slowly, calmly, and practically. You don't need to understand every word on a pet food label to make good food decisions. You need orientation, balance awareness, and permission to keep it simple. In the next video, we'll get very practical. I'll show you exactly how much raw food to feed your dog using simple math without overthinking. I'm Dr. Ghunaim. Clarity comes before change, and understanding always comes before action.